disability is essential. And we should find out one monitoring tools which is time bound, and the monitoring tools by reporting it is needed. I think in Dhaka Declaration 2018, if we add these things, this will be very much helpful for our future. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Riaz Ahmed, for your very thought-provoking presentation, entirely highlighting on the role of the private sector, for example, the need of the statistics, disaggregated statistics, and the necessity of monitoring and evaluation framework is well underlined. Thank you. Last but not the least, at this stage, I am calling upon Mr. Shah Kamal, the Distinguished Secretary of the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, and also a very active organizer of Bangladesh Scouts, to come up with his own points. Thank you.
Respected Chair, Honorable Chief Guest, and key panelists and other panelists, and welcome to participant to our discussion. You know that globally 15% of the world's population lives with some form of disability. They are disproportionately affected by disaster. One of the guiding principles for the implementation of the Sendai framework states that a gender, age, disability, and cultural perspective should be integrated in all policies and practices. In Priority 4, state that empowering of women, persons with disability to publicly lead and promote gender equality and universally. You know that in the 2015, there was a Dhaka Declaration in first conference. I just to give the upgrade position of Bangladesh about first declaration, that according to Action 1, the Bangladesh has taken representative of persons with disability has been included all disaster management committees in grassroots level, because we already to change our SOD and we to include all persons with disability in the union level, sub-district level, district level, and national level. And Action 1 is also declared that role of responsibility of the concern for the persons with disability has already been incorporated in the SOD, as well as we to assign to their right. And Action 2 and 3, a national task force has already been launched to monitor the progress. And Bangladesh established a national level database on disability issue with special focus on the cyclone-prone coastal districts. And through survey, it is estimated that there are around 0.41 million persons with disability which are in category-wise gender, age, and types of disability. This survey is continuous, because if we to identify where they are to live in, if any disaster, we can to evacuate to them in earlier. And this is in our contingency plan. In respect to Action Point 8, the government of Bangladesh nominated Ms. Saima Hussain as an international focal point, and there was in other minimum 5 countries to appoint their international focal point. This is almost Bangladesh to taken some initiative to implement the declaration of 2015. In future, today we also to declare the 2018 declaration, and we have some future plan. That future plan is persons with disability need to actively engage in planning, implementation, monitoring, disaster risk reduction actions in climate change policies, risk prevention and mitigation. Therefore, the barriers and active participation have to be removed and capacity building program need to be ended. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Shah Kamal, Secretary, for your very important presentation on highlighting some important points and drawing on the Dhaka Declaration that came out during the first conference and relating it to the participants has been very important. And as the Secretary of the Disaster Management and Relief, your activity and your partnership with all the different sectors coming from public, private, and the civil society has been very visible, and it is again reiterated. I think now we will be entering into another very interesting phase. We will be asking for participation from the floor, but we know that the concluding session is also coming up soon. There will be the participation of important dignitaries, including the Honorable Speaker of the Parliament. So we'll make it very short. I propose to make a 10 minutes open floor session. So you would be requested to kindly come up with points, not addressing the stage. I'm seeing the gentleman in the front, and at this stage we welcome on the dais His Excellency Mr. Mufazzal Hussain Chaudhry Maya, the Honorable Minister for Disaster Management. Please, the microphone will be reached to you. Just please identify the name and the organization you belong to and come up with your comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the forum. I'm Dr. A.M. Zakir Hussain. I used to work for government. For 29 years, I have served Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and then I worked for some time at the WHO in regional office. I also worked for Asian Development Bank for some time. I have just one small suggestion, and all these presentations given within short period of 3 minutes were wonderful, very educative. So from there I have gleaned one particular thing. See, technology, somebody has talked about technology. Technology is a combination of technique, tool, and skill. So when we talk about technology, I think we have to see that all these areas are strengthened at the same goal. Technique, tool, and skill. And then government has, in fact, given much emphasis on innovation. And innovation should be, in fact, aimed at bringing in, ensuring effectiveness and efficiency in using the technology. Second and last is, I strongly believe, personally, I believe you also agree, that we need to further strengthen camaraderie among all those who are supposed to provide services during disaster, and then respectful empathy. When we talk about empathy, we usually look down upon those who are being helped, but this is not empathy. It should be respectful empathy. We are not doing any kindness. We are doing our duties. And that should be part of education system. And our education should develop a sense among students that you have to respect people without any creed, without any physical or psychological distinctions. And that is sense of inclusivity in education, focusing on gender, poverty, illiteracy, and culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and very good points. Can we go to the, yes. The microphone goes to the third row, yes, in the middle. Yes, please identify yourself and come up with your point.
Thank you, sir. Khurshid from UNDP. I'm Assistant Country Director of UNDP. I think we're very lucky in Bangladesh that we have a political commitment from very highest level to make sure that inclusive development, inclusive disaster management should go forward. We're also lucky that we're hosting second time the International Disability Conference, Disability and Disaster Conference in Bangladesh. Now I'm just thinking, other countries who are not participating or who do not have opportunity to know what's being discussed here, how can you communicate? How this declaration can go to the other leaders of the other countries. As the Principal Secretary, the Secretary Disaster Management, Minister Disaster Management, honorable dignitaries are all here. How can we communicate that? That's the major point. Second point, at Bangladesh, I know Ministry of Disaster Management organized periodic review of the implementation of the declaration. So how can we make it more regular and what you said, partnership, inclusive, where everybody can participate? As you know that UNDP hosts the system-wide coordination secretariat, how disability can be mainstream within the UN system. From that point of view, we can offer our service in translating the declaration into all UN languages. And if you need any further assistance, we're very happy to provide you that, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Khurshid, for making your point. We have had two male participants. We'll be having a partnership of male and female. So I'm identifying one female candidate there, and there will be another female candidate. Then we'll go to the third round of male candidates.
Thank you, sir, towards the inclusive participation. My name is Rabia Sultana. I'm the country director for HelpAge International. We are working for the population aging. I'm highly glad that the elder persons inclusive issues has raised and has collectively covered in few sessions. But to draw your attention, while we talk about inclusive humanitarian package, we should talk about all ages inclusiveness, irrespective of from psychosocial disorder to the technology and other era. I'd like to draw all your attention just to share that 13% of the world population are above 60 years. And the whole world is growing aging. The persons with disability with ages, they grow with competencies, but also with ages, the vulnerability and exclusion has also increased. So while you will summing up with the discussions, kindly consider that we should be with the lens of age inclusive and all age inclusive humanitarian package, and let's Bangladesh be a model to respect the senior citizens and to inclusive of all ages. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for these very thoughtful points. I'm looking for another female participant, maybe from within the brothers and sisters who are sitting in the wheelchair. Any female? কেউ বলবেন বাংলায় বলতে পারেন আচ্ছা আচ্ছা তা আপনি মাঝখানে সেকেন্ড রাইতে আমাদের ভাই একজন কথা বলবেন one of our brothers on the wheelchairs.
থ্যাংক ইউ সুযোগ দেওয়ার জন্য। আমি মোহাম্মদ আসাদুজ্জামান, নির্বাহী পরিচালক কুড়িগ্রাম প্রতিবন্ধী কল্যাণ সংস্থা। আমি কুড়িগ্রাম থেকে আসছি। আমার প্রশ্ন হলো, বাংলাদেশের আসলে শিক্ষা প্রতিষ্ঠানগুলোতেই প্রতিবন্ধী বান্ধব শিক্ষার ব্যবস্থা নেই এবং প্রতিবন্ধীদের জন্য নেই কোনো প্রতিবন্ধী বান্ধব টয়লেটের ব্যবস্থা। আর যদি প্রতিবন্ধীদের এই যে বিশেষ শিক্ষাগুলোকেই যদি বিশেষ স্বীকৃতি দেওয়া যায় তাহলে প্রতিবন্ধী বান্ধব শিক্ষা অর্জন করতে পারবে। আর আরেকটা হলো যে বাংলাদেশের সকল ডিপিওগুলোকে যদি শক্তিশালী করা হয় তাহলে প্রতিবন্ধী মানুষের ন্যায্য অধিকারগুলো আদায় করে নিতে পারবে বা তারা সক্ষমতা অর্জন করতে পারবে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you for very important comments, especially on how to make education institutions disability friendly and others. I've recognized two, one of our visually impaired participant there at the front. Yeah, and then you. I think we'll close the open session then. Yeah,
can I speak in Bangla or English?
Your choice.
Okay.
Your choice.
আমি বাংলায় বলি, প্লিজ ট্রান্সলেট করে দিবেন।
Yeah, please.
তো আমি যেটা বলতে যাচ্ছি সেটা হচ্ছে কালকে আমি একটা সেশনে অংশগ্রহণ করেছিলাম টুয়ার্ডস এ রেজিলিয়েন্ট সিটি অ্যান্ড অ্যাক্সেসিবল আরবান প্ল্যানিং। তো আমি যেটা অনুরোধ করব যে অ্যাক্সেসিবল একটা সিটি যেন তৈরি করা হয়, তাহলে আমরা এই ডিজাস্টার থেকে মুক্তি পাবো। কারণ হচ্ছে এটা একটা দীর্ঘমেয়াদী প্রক্রিয়া। তো আমি এখান থেকে সবাইকে ডিজাস্টার ম্যানেজমেন্ট মিনিস্ট্রি বা সবাইকে বলবো যে একটা অ্যাক্সেসিবল এনভায়রনমেন্ট প্রতিবন্ধীদের জন্য করা, তাহলে এটা দীর্ঘমেয়াদী প্রক্রিয়া এবং এটা যেন করা হয়। এবং মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর দপ্তরে আমি শুনেছি কালকে যে একটা জাতীয় বিল্ডিং কোড করা হচ্ছে, সেই বিল্ডিং কোডটাতে যেন পুরোটা অ্যাক্সেসিবিলিটি যেন ইনশিওর করা হয়, সেভাবে করে দ্রুত যেন পাস করা হয়, তাহলে আমরা এই ডিজাস্টার থেকে মুক্ত পাবো। এবং আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা আমি একটু এই প্রোগ্রাম এখান থেকে বলতে যাচ্ছি, আমি প্রতিবন্ধী ব্যক্তি হিসাবে যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমি এত বছর আমি কোনো ড্রিল বা কোনো ট্রেনিং পাইনি যে আমি একটা আর্থকুয়েক বা একটা ফ্লাড হলে আমি নিজেকে কীভাবে সেভ করব। তো এই ড্রিল বা এইসব যে ট্রেনিং, এগুলো যেন লোকাল গভর্নমেন্টের মাধ্যমে আমাদেরকে ইনশিওর করা হয়, তাহলে আমরা হয়তো অনেকটাই দুর্যোগের সময় নিজেকে সেভ করতে পারবো। এবং রেস্কিউ অপারেশনের সময় যখন আমরা যদি কোনো রেস্কিউ করতে যাই আমাকে, তখন যেন আমি তাদেরকেও কোঅপারেট করতে পারি, কারণ এটা দুই তরফ থেকে হতে হবে। একজন রেস্কিউ পার্সোনাল আমাকে রেস্কিউ করতে গেলে তখন আমিও যেন তাকে হেল্প করতে পারি যে হ্যাঁ আমি এইখানে আছি, প্লিজ হেল্প মি। তো আমি এই আহ্বানটা জানাবো। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Very good, thank you.
অর্গানাইজেশনের নামটা বলে যে আমি রিফাত পাশা, ওয়ার্ক ফর বেটার বাংলাদেশ ট্রাস্ট।
Very good, thank you. Making important points on access and especially implementation of the building code, which is disability friendly, and finally the critical role of the local government institutions like the private sector. So the gentleman on the right column.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Minister, Honorable Pioneer of Global Autism
No
Awareness
address, please.
Campaign,
Just please come to the point.
Saima Hussain Putul.
Yeah.
I am Pope Prince Poet Masood Rana Black and White. I am the Chairman, CEO and Ambassador of International Autism Foundation, President and Principal of Black and White Autism School. I have dedicated my life for the children with autism, for their development. Now I am singing a song for persons with disability and children with autism. Autistic children, you are not alone. I do love you. Autistic children, you are not alone. We do feel you.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank you,
very
thank
much.
you
Thank
so much, thank you so much. Let's give them a big round of applause. We have dedicated almost 11 minutes for the open session, and we have heard several very important contributions. I'm looking at the watch. The time is running fast, so we'll not be engaging the panelists for further response. I've seen that they've taken extensive notes, and the declaration will address a lot of these issues. At this stage, it is my immense pleasure to call upon the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Gohar Rizvi, International Affairs Advisor to Honorable Prime Minister, to come up with his valuable remarks. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank and congratulate the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief for hosting this conference. This is the second of the conferences, but not only for hosting the conference, what I thought was particularly imaginative was to link the concern of the disabled with disaster. This is something which often gets neglected, is unheard, and therefore I am truly grateful both to the Minister and to the Secretary and his colleagues for doing that. Secondly, and here I say with much pride, I want to thank Saima, who's sitting next to me, for truly, in a very short period of time, making our concern for disability and bringing it into the mainstream. It was, for ages, a peripheral issue. It was left to those who were suffering, where only it was seemed as if it was their concern. And so I'm really grateful, Taima, that you have helped us to mainstream it. You have provoked our conscience, and you have sometimes shamed us into becoming more empathetic with those who have been less fortunate than us. Thank you. I want to start with a few one or two comments, and that is, when we talk of disability, we are not only talking of physical disability. That is already there, and we know it. Unfortunately, those who are physically disabled, society converges, brings other forms of disabilities on the disabled. If you look at disability, the disabled are also suffering from access to education, access to employment, access to movement, free movement, and access to many facilities and opportunities that the society provides. So we are not simply dealing with the question of physical disability, but a convergence of all forms of disabilities that are heaped. It is no wonder that those who are disabled are also most impoverished, in many cases least educated because they have no access to education. They are least employed because they don't have fair access to employment. So in talking about disability, and though the focus is on disaster and disability, we must not forget all that. And disability, unfortunately, is not only something that nature, it happens in nature, we are born with it, but unfortunately, in every field, in every aspect of our life, the disabled are at the bottom of the heap. If there is a stampede in a stadium, it is those who are vulnerable, those who are weak, and those who are disabled die first. If a boat capsizes, it is the same story. And therefore, it is very, very important for us why we should focus on it. And here, we can take heart. Here, we can feel confident that in Bangladesh, truly, dreams become realities. Many of you will remember and this shows when Bangladesh focused on disaster management, what it could achieve. In 1970, our Honorable Minister will remember, there was a cyclone in Bhola and other outlying districts. 1 million people had died. Last year, we had a similar cyclone with similar intensity, and our disaster preparedness was such, only, however sad, only a single-digit number of people died. This shows what society can do when it decides to do something. And I think time has now come for us to put the same political and social commitment to remove our disabled brothers and sisters and children are already born with disability. The society should not punish them for it. Society should help and extend its hands so that we can relieve their suffering. Number of people have made this point, but I will repeat. And I will say with some sadness in my heart that today we are hearing a lot about merit-based society. Let me tell you one thing. Merit-based society only exists where the playing field is even. And every child, girl, man and woman has equal opportunities. If our disabled brothers, sisters and daughters and sons are not compensated for the uneven disadvantages that they suffer from, and then to insist that competition should be on merit, I think those people who make this argument need to have their head examined. We have to compensate because disability, a one-legged man and two-legged man cannot run at the same speed in a race. Therefore, you have to compensate. And that is why affirmative action is so important in our society and our life. And before we talk of anything else, let's create an even playing field, and then we will talk about doing away with affirmative action. Be that as it may, we can do much. Government has passed a law that all buildings should have disabled access. Why has that law not been enforced? We need to enforce that law. This should be enforced not only in public buildings, but also in private buildings. Governments have provided special opportunities for employment of the disabled. Private sector is also a part of our society. Private sector also benefits from our taxpayers. Why should the private sector not open its doors to those who are disabled and give them opportunities? I think we should join hands, we should bring pressure to make sure that the responsibility of disabilities is not only on the government, on the society as a large, as a whole. And in everything, every day when we get up, we must try to visualize. We must try to put ourselves in the place of a disabled person and see the world through their prism. And only when we see the world through their prism, we will begin to appreciate how much advantageous we are, and therefore we need to give them the same advantage. Anyway, we are short of time. I will end, but I want to end on a very hopeful note. We have made great progress. A new declaration will be made, and I do hope SAIMA will continue to provide the leadership that we look to you to provide, to make sure that we Bangladesh, as I said, is a land where dreams become real. And one of the dreams is to create a society where our disabled will not feel in any way discriminated. Thank you. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, for your very important and inspiring remarks. All of us are greatly inspired by this. Now it is my time to bring this session to an end, and I don't want to make any long remarks, but to share with you some of my take-home messages. Firstly, I've seen the enthusiasm among the participants. Especially, I've identified this forum as a special forum which will advocate for disability inclusive disaster management, and I've learned a lot of new knowledge from all of you. Secondly, as we are living in the age of sustainable development, I have been inspired by the remarks from the panelists who came from abroad. especially on the kind of role Bangladesh has been playing to make disaster risk reduction framework disability inclusive. And this is not happening out of the blue. It started right from the emergence of Bangladesh through the leadership of the founding father, our father of the nation, and the political will that is demonstrated by Honorable Prime Minister herself. You have heard her day before yesterday. And finally, the torch is being also handed over to a very enthusiastic leader, Madam Saima Hussain, who has kindly taken upon herself the responsibility to organize such forum. So this is a message that we have a plan in terms of making disaster risk reduction disability inclusive. Thirdly, I'm very confident that the remarks that we have heard from the floor, you are focusing on the core issues. The technology, for example, has been highlighted, role of technology, the access, the inclusiveness, and the song that we have heard singing on the issue of autism has also encouraged us, and will hopefully incorporate all the elements into the Dhaka Declaration that you have drafted. But for policy planners like us, we'll be keeping in mind that planning is easy, but implementation is difficult. So we'll focus on the implementation part. We'll also share these.
Dear participants, guests from overseas and local, our closing ceremony will be held within very short time, within a couple of minutes. Honorable Speaker of Parliament, she is arriving within few minutes. Please, the outside, please you stay here, and hopefully within 5 minutes we will start the closing ceremony.